Have you ever met someone who never sheds a tear, no matter how intense the storm of life becomes? There are people who walk through heartbreak, loss, and unimaginable pain, yet their eyes stay dry. What is it that makes them so unshakable, and what can we learn from their resilience? Today, we're diving deep into the minds of those who never cry and uncovering the powerful reasons behind it. Some people never cry because they have built emotional armor over years of facing life's harshest challenges. From a young age, they might have experienced circumstances that demanded strength far beyond their years, loss of a loved one, constant instability, or hardship that forced them to adapt faster than their peers. Crying, in those moments, wasn't a choice, it wasn't even an option. Their young minds learned that showing vulnerability could mean losing control, leaving them exposed to pain they were too afraid or too determined to endure. Over time, this early conditioning evolved into a natural defense mechanism. The world may see them as stoic, but beneath that calm exterior lies a heart that has endured far more than most could imagine. This emotional armor doesn't mean they are cold or unfeeling. In fact, it's the exact opposite. Every uncried tear represents a battle fought quietly, a hardship absorbed and transformed into resilience. They've discovered that emotions, when left unchecked, can overwhelm and paralyze. By containing them, they have learned to channel that energy into focus and action. Instead of succumbing to despair or frustration, they analyze the situation, assess their options, and act decisively. In a way, their lack of tears becomes a superpower. While others might crumble under pressure, they stand firm, navigating life's storms with a clarity that comes only from experience. The process of building this armor is not instantaneous, it is gradual, often forged through repeated trials. Every disappointment, every failure, every moment of deep emotional pain adds another layer of protection. It is as if life itself is training them, sharpening their ability to endure without breaking. They understand that tears do not erase suffering, nor do they solve problems. Strength comes from perseverance, from continuing forward even when the path is dark and uncertain. Their emotional armor allows them to do that with a sense of purpose, to face adversity head-on without being consumed by it. Yet, this does not mean they are devoid of empathy or tenderness. Many of these individuals are deeply sensitive internally, feeling emotions more intensely than anyone realizes. The difference is in how they express and process those emotions. They have learned to convert what could have been a flood of tears into a controlled, constructive force. Instead of crying, they may channel their feelings into work, creative pursuits, problem solving, or supporting others. Their pain becomes a tool, a motivator that drives them to overcome obstacles and help those around them. This ability to transform internal struggle into outward strength is what sets them apart. Building emotional armor also requires tremendous self-awareness. These individuals spend a lot of time understanding their triggers, recognizing patterns in their emotional responses, and consciously choosing how to react. They know that unchecked emotional outbursts rarely change circumstances, but focused effort, strategic thinking, and persistence can. They have a keen sense of responsibility for their own emotional state, refusing to allow life's hardships to dictate their inner balance. In a world that often prizes instant expression and immediate release, their restraint is a demonstration of profound self-mastery. Ultimately, those who never cry due to their emotional armor teach us a powerful lesson about resilience. Their silence in the face of hardship is not an absence of humanity, but a refined strength. They have learned that life's storms will come, often without warning, and that the only way to survive and thrive is to face them with unwavering resolve. Every challenge endured without tears strengthens their character, reinforces their determination, and deepens their capacity to overcome future struggles. Observing them, we are reminded that true courage is not always loud or visible. Sometimes it is the quiet fortitude of a heart that has learned to endure, transform, and rise again. Some people suppress tears because they are relentless problem solvers. To them, life is not a series of moments to be endured. It is a battlefield that demands strategy, focus, and action. They have learned that grief, anger, and frustration, while natural, can become distractions if allowed to take over. When others might succumb to sadness or sit in despair, they channel the energy into finding solutions, moving forward, and taking control of the situations that threaten to overwhelm them. Their eyes may never show tears, but their minds are constantly at work, analyzing, planning, and executing a path through life's toughest challenges. This mindset often develops early, either through necessity or temperament. They may have grown up in environments where problems needed to be solved immediately, where delay or hesitation could lead to failure or danger. Over time, this approach became instinctual. They learned to approach life with the mindset that there is always a next step, always a way to overcome, and always a strategy to turn adversity into advantage. In this way, their suppression of tears is not denial, it is discipline. It is a conscious choice to focus their energy where it can create results rather than dissipating it in emotional release. Being a relentless problem solver does not mean they are unfeeling or cold. In fact, their emotions run deep, but they have mastered the art of converting those feelings into productive action. Every challenge they face, every setback they encounter, becomes a catalyst for growth. Pain becomes motivation, disappointment becomes insight. While others may grieve over what went wrong, they study it, dissect it, and extract lessons that can be applied in the future. This ability to transform emotion into tangible results is one of their greatest strengths. They do not cry because they understand that tears alone do not solve problems, but decisive, purposeful action does. Part of this approach comes from an extraordinary level of mental discipline. They train their minds to remain calm under pressure, to think clearly even when emotions threaten to cloud judgment. When faced with adversity, they ask themselves not, "Why me?" but "What can I do next?" This internal dialogue fuels a proactive mindset, one that refuses to be paralyzed by grief or fear. Their focus on solutions rather than sorrow allows them to navigate life's storms with a confidence that few can match. In many ways, their restraint becomes a guiding light for those around them, demonstrating that strength is not always loud or visible. It can be quiet, calculated, and unwavering. This mindset also instills a remarkable level of resilience. Because they face problems head-on rather than drowning in emotion, they develop an immunity to despair. They understand that life will continue to present obstacles, and that waiting for circumstances to improve on their own is not an option. Every challenge is an opportunity to grow stronger, smarter, and more capable. Their lack of tears is not the absence of feeling, it is the presence of mastery. They have chosen to wield their energy in ways that create real, lasting change rather than momentary relief. Finally, those who are relentless problem solvers inspire a different kind of admiration. Their ability to endure without giving in to emotional collapse demonstrates an extraordinary strength of character. They teach us that true courage is measured not by what we feel in a moment, but by how we respond, adapt, and persist despite the weight of that feeling. Their lives are living proof that controlling emotion is not about suppressing it. It's about harnessing it, turning it into fuel that drives success, survival, and triumph. Observing them reminds us that every obstacle, every hardship, and every challenge can be met with clarity, strategy, and unbreakable resolve. Some people never cry because their minds thrive on control. They understand that emotions, while natural and necessary, can sometimes act like a wildfire, spreading uncontrollably, consuming clarity, and leaving chaos in their wake. For them, the ability to command their inner world is not a choice but a necessity. They have learned that by mastering their emotional responses, they maintain power over their actions, decisions, and ultimately, their destiny. Tears, in this context, are not a measure of strength or weakness. They are a potential surrender of control, and they refuse to let that happen. From a young age, these individuals often notice that life does not wait for anyone. Circumstances change rapidly, challenges emerge without warning, And those who allow themselves to be swept away by emotion can be left unprepared, vulnerable, and behind. To survive and eventually thrive, they cultivate a disciplined mind that is always alert, always analytical, and always in command. Suppressing tears is not an act of suppression, but an act of strategy. By maintaining control over the storm inside, they preserve the ability to respond to the storm outside with precision and purpose. This sense of control extends far beyond just emotional management. It is a philosophy of life. Every setback, every heartbreak, every moment of pain is acknowledged, understood, and consciously processed. They do not allow sorrow to dominate them. Instead, they dissect it, extracting insight, understanding patterns, and finding lessons that can be applied in the future. Their ability to maintain control does not make them less human. It makes them profoundly human, in a way that allows them to face life's challenges without being dragged under by them. They are not devoid of feeling, they are masters of it. For them, tears can be seen as a temporary surrender, a brief relinquishing of mental and emotional command. And in a life where decisions matter, where survival sometimes hinges on clarity of mind, giving into emotion can carry consequences. These individuals have learned to process grief, disappointment, and fear internally, transforming what could have been vulnerability into inner strength. The fire of their emotions is never extinguished, it is redirected into focus, perseverance, and action. This internal mastery allows them to face uncertainty with a calmness that inspires awe in those around them. Their commitment to control also fosters extraordinary resilience. They understand that life's storms are inevitable, but chaos only has power if it is allowed to dominate. By maintaining authority over their inner world, they are able to navigate crises with clarity, adapt to unforeseen challenges, and make decisions that ensure progress even in the darkest moments. The absence of tears is not an absence of pain. It is the presence of discipline, foresight, and unwavering determination. Every difficult moment becomes an opportunity to strengthen their control, refine their strategy, and prove to themselves that they are the masters of their own fate. Ultimately, those who thrive on control remind us that emotional mastery is a form of power. Their strength is quiet but formidable, a force that allows them to endure what would overwhelm others. By choosing to command their minds rather than surrender to momentary emotion, they achieve a clarity, resilience, and purposeful action that transforms hardship into growth. They show us that the absence of tears does not indicate emptiness. It signals the presence of extraordinary inner strength, a disciplined mind, and a spirit determined to rise above any storm. Some people never cry because their restraint stems from profound empathy. They feel deeply, more acutely than most, yet they choose action over tears. Their hearts are not devoid of sorrow. In fact, they experience emotions with extraordinary intensity. But rather than allowing those emotions to manifest as outward displays, they channel them into meaningful deeds, supporting others, lifting the fallen, and creating positive impact in the lives of those around them. Their strength lies not in suppressing feeling, but in transforming it into something constructive, something that serves a purpose far beyond their own suffering. This capacity for empathy-driven restraint often develops through life experiences that reveal the limitations of self-focused expression. They may have observed that crying, while natural, rarely changes the circumstances of those in pain. It does not repair a broken home, heal the wounds of a friend, or restore what has been lost. What it does do, however, is temporarily relieve the individual, sometimes leaving others to navigate hardship alone. These people internalize this lesson, learning that their empathy can be more powerful when expressed through support, guidance, or action rather than tears. In essence, they convert personal sorrow into a force that uplifts the world around them. For them, every challenge is an opportunity to extend compassion. They understand that life is rarely fair and that suffering is a universal truth. Yet they refuse to allow grief to dominate their responses. When confronted with tragedy, they might feel the full weight of it internally, but they do not let it immobilize them. Instead, they step forward, often carrying not only their own burdens, but also the weight of others. This remarkable ability to feel deeply yet remain functional and proactive distinguishes them from many who are overwhelmed by emotion. They teach us that true strength is not always visible in tears. It can be found in the quiet persistence of those who use their sorrow to serve, heal, and protect. Their approach requires incredible emotional intelligence. They recognize the fine line between empathizing and being consumed by the pain of others. By mastering this balance, they maintain their own stability while offering meaningful support. Tears, in their view, are not absent because they lack feeling. They are absent because they understand that lasting change comes from action, not display. Their empathy becomes a compass, guiding decisions and interactions. It directs their energy toward the most impactful ways to help, turning emotional sensitivity into strategic, compassionate power. This form of restraint also cultivates resilience. By transforming empathy into action, they develop a sense of purpose that shields them from being overwhelmed by the hardships they witness. Life's difficulties do not break them. They reinforce their commitment to be a force for good. They understand that while crying might release temporary tension, contributing positively to others' lives creates enduring strength for themselves and those they touch. Each act of compassion reinforces their inner fortitude and solidifies their role as a pillar of strength in their communities. Ultimately, people who never cry out of empathy demonstrate that strength is not always measured by what is visible. They show us that emotions, no matter how intense, can be directed toward meaningful outcomes. By choosing action over tears, they transform personal and observed pain into purpose. They remind us that human resilience is often quiet, subtle, and deeply powerful. In their presence, we learn that tears are not the only measure of courage, and that true impact comes from turning profound feeling into deliberate, compassionate action that makes the world a little stronger, a little brighter, and a little more resilient. Some people never cry because they are guided by a vision bigger than any single moment of pain. Their eyes may remain dry, but their hearts are fueled by purpose, ambition, and an unwavering focus on what lies ahead. They understand that suffering is temporary, fleeting, and often unavoidable, but their dreams, goals, and missions are enduring. Every challenge, every heartbreak, every setback becomes a stepping stone, a lesson, and a source of fuel to propel them closer to the horizon they have chosen to pursue. For them, tears are a luxury that would distract from the work that truly matters, the relentless pursuit of their vision. This ability to prioritize purpose over momentary emotion often stems from a deep understanding of life's transient nature. They have seen pain, loss, and disappointment, and they recognize that while these experiences may sting in the moment, they do not define the entirety of existence. What defines them is their response, the actions they take, the goals they chase, and the legacy they strive to leave behind. Every uncried tear is transformed into energy, determination, and resilience. In essence, they convert potential vulnerability into unstoppable momentum. Their vision acts as both shield and compass. When life's storms rage around them, they can maintain clarity and focus because their eyes are fixed on something far greater than the immediate struggles. They are not oblivious to pain. They feel it, acknowledge it, and process it. But they do not allow it to divert them from their mission. Each challenge becomes a test of strength, an opportunity to refine strategy, and a moment to prove to themselves that they are capable of enduring anything life throws their way. The ability to endure without crying is intertwined with the capacity to see beyond the temporary, to invest in what is lasting, and to refuse to be distracted by fleeting despair. This mindset requires extraordinary discipline. It is not easy to stay dry-eyed when the heart aches, when the world seems unfair, or when dreams are threatened by failure. Yet these individuals understand that surrendering to tears may provide momentary relief, but does not advance their vision. They have cultivated mental and emotional resilience, learning to harness their feelings as tools rather than letting them become obstacles. Anger, sadness, or frustration are acknowledged and redirected, they become the fuel that drives persistence, creativity, and action. Each challenge, instead of weakening them, strengthens the foundation of their purpose. Their vision also inspires others. People who remain steadfast in the pursuit of their goals demonstrate the extraordinary power of focus, determination, and perseverance. Their lack of tears is not a denial of human experience, but a declaration of unwavering commitment. By keeping their eyes on the prize and refusing to be derailed by temporary hardships, they show that strength is as much about endurance and foresight as it is about courage or skill. Observing them teaches a profound lesson: life will test you. Pain will find you, but if your vision is strong enough, you will rise above it. Ultimately, those who never cry because of their larger vision remind us that purpose can be stronger than pain. Tears are not the only expression of feeling, and enduring hardship does not require visible sorrow. They demonstrate that when your heart beats for something bigger than yourself, when your mind is locked on your goals, and when your spirit refuses to yield, you can turn every setback into fuel, every loss into learning, and every challenge into a stepping stone toward greatness. Their lives show that true resilience lies not in the absence of suffering, but in the ability to rise above it with unwavering vision and relentless determination. Some people never cry because they have discovered the extraordinary power of transforming pain into personal strength. They understand that suffering is not a sign of weakness but a signal, a challenge to rise, adapt, and grow beyond what they thought possible. Every wound, every heartbreak, every moment of despair becomes fuel for resilience, courage, and self-mastery. For them, tears are not necessary to process pain because they have learned to convert emotional energy into action, learning, and inner fortitude. Their lives are living proof that the human spirit can endure far more than we often believe. This transformation is not accidental, it is intentional. They recognize that emotions, when uncontrolled, can overwhelm and paralyze. To survive and thrive in a world full of uncertainty, they have cultivated a mindset that allows them to acknowledge pain without surrendering to it. Every setback is met with introspection, strategy, and resolve. By internalizing their struggles, they extract lessons that strengthen character, sharpen judgment, and enhance their ability to face future challenges. In this way, the absence of tears is not detachment, it is mastery over self and circumstance. Their strength is built on awareness and choice. They understand that life will inevitably bring moments that test their limits, and they refuse to let those moments dictate the course of their existence. They choose to respond, not react. They channel their emotions into perseverance, creativity, and problem-solving. Every uncried tear becomes a seed of growth, a spark of determination, and a reinforcement of the belief that no obstacle is insurmountable. Pain, for them, is not an endpoint. It is a catalyst for transformation and achievement. This approach requires a profound level of self-discipline. It is not easy to maintain composure in the face of intense emotion or adversity, but those who never cry have trained themselves to focus on solutions rather than dwell on suffering. They understand that crying may bring temporary relief, but resilience, action, and progress are the true measures of strength. Their ability to endure without outward expression of sorrow allows them to confront life's challenges with clarity, purpose, and unwavering resolve. Every difficult experience becomes an opportunity to refine their character, to test their courage, and to prove to themselves that they are capable of more than they imagined. Those who have mastered this transformation also inspire others through example. Their resilience, calmness, and capacity to endure hardships without visible signs of distress demonstrate that strength is not always loud or dramatic. It is often quiet, consistent, and profoundly powerful. They teach us that courage is not measured by tears, but by the ability to rise each time life knocks you down, to face adversity with clarity, and to use every challenge as a stepping stone toward growth. Their lives exemplify a principle that is both timeless and universal. Pain does not define us, but how we respond to it does. Ultimately, People who never cry because they have transformed pain into strength show us what it truly means to be resilient. Their journey teaches that emotions can be harnessed, struggles can be redirected, and adversity can be converted into fuel for personal development. They embody the message that true power is not in avoiding pain, but in facing it with courage, learning from it, and letting it strengthen every fiber of your being. They remind us that tears are not the only measure of the human heart. Strength, perseverance, and purpose shine even brighter, illuminating the path through life's darkest moments.